Cool. But we didn't have our things to get any of our acts together to really do that. We thought it would just fit in okay here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Hello,
Hi.
Tommy,
Hi, Tom.
hi.
hello. Nice to
Let's-
see y'all.
Sean, that's Tom Costello. He's
Hey,
a
Tom.
member of the commission.
How are you?
I'm fine, Tom. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Trying to stay out of the weather
Yeah.
a little bit.
Tom and Luke here both have extensive background work for the city.
Okay,
So
you know
there-
what the question I was gonna ask, so the slides I'm gonna show are like not high level anymore. They're like more granular, more detailed, and more like sciencey stuff. How does that fit with you guys' background? Is that, I mean, I'm gonna go into aerobic, anaerobic, just the basics of it. I wanted
Sure.
to, I
Yeah,
have like 5 slides and just demystifying the process of composting.
I would guess we know most of the ideas of
assume that, yeah,
composting, but just your plan was interesting, so.
Got it, okay. Got it.
Off the record, although we are being recorded, but not official business. I was on the phone with Bob Murphy, who's the former business development person for the county. He was economic development director for the city at one point. But he wants to come to our next meeting and talk about riverfront development, which is a personal passion of his.
Okay, Tom, did you mean today or?
No, he just asked me to let him know when our next meeting after this would be.
Sure, okay.
And I told him there's a public comment period, but he may need more time than that at his future point.
I'll communicate with him somehow. I'll figure it out.
I can send you his number. He's retired now, so he's got a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah, do that, would you, Tom?
Yes, I will.
Now, we're gonna have a quorum.
Yeah, I just emailed Glenn and Caitlin because they asked for the Zoom link, but I don't know why it wasn't posted to the city's calendar. Sean, can you check and see if you can just mute yourself so that we don't get echo.
How's that?
Mute yourself. No, I'm you guys sharing your screen.
I didn't have any excuses, actually, so.
Great. Only thing I'm gonna do is
I put some other papers over there if you need them.
Slideshow.
Okay, you guys should be good. I'm anticipating a couple more people will join. If anyone has an issue, just let me know.
All right, I think I figured out how to do this. So I have. Can I start talking or what?
What, should we start the meeting first?
Okay, oh, yeah, no, we'll get going.
I just want to give some like a little bit more guidance. So I have the PowerPoint that I'll show, but I also have a spreadsheet with a couple different tabs. And the tabs are gonna have the WBS structure. You guys familiar with WBS? Just work breakdown structure?
No, actually.
Okay, so really, so there's a science part of this, but then there's a project management part of this, and that's my background.
Yeah,
And this is a project, so I broke it down into sort of like the components of a project, and
Okay.
I'll treat it like a project. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So I'll pivot to to the spreadsheet. There's be some tabs. There'll be more details than that, and that's a way for you to ask more questions. Yeah,
good.
does that make sense?
got a better chance of becoming reality with that.
I think so. It's still an uphill battle.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
let's officially start our meeting at 1:51. Is Richard with us still, do you know? He didn't
communicate with me, so I assume he is, but he is our secretary. Could I ask one of you to be secretary pro tem?
You're so good at it,
Luke's
Scott.
looking at me.
You're so good.
Yeah,
at
I'll do it,
Scott.
Luke. For you, I'll do
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, I'll take a stab at it.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm not gonna try to write down everything you're gonna. tell
Yeah.
us.
No, that's fine.
I mean,
Okay.
just-
Okay.
We have other things to talk about, but.
Absolutely. All right, so the clock is starting. I'll start the presentation or the slides.
Oh,
that I
we
got.
gotta do roll call first.
Yeah, we got a couple of things. We
Oh,
got
you're
your
administrator.
agenda.
Yeah,
Sean.
let you sit
Whenever
down.
you're ready to let me start talking, just let me just say
Right.
Give you this.
Okay,
thumbs up.
now I do know that Len was going to join us at 2:00.
Okay.
So, but other than that, and I knew Tommy was going to Zoom. So,
We need a simple majority for a quorum, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
So
fine.
if we're not voting on anything,
No,
it's
yeah,
irrelevant,
right.
basically.
So
So I'll run through the roll call. Okay.
actually, I
You
could.
got it?
I've got it for you.
Why
Yeah,
don't you do it?
You, the three of us plus Tommy are on. Len is excused until 2:00. And I'm afraid I haven't heard from anybody else. So take that as it is, Scott.
All right, got it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nikita turns up a bit late, but we'll see. Okay, we need to approve the minutes, which I did last time because
Can't
Richard.
do it without a quorum, right?
Hey, that's right, yes. Okay, let's just, but if you have any suggestions.
I do have a couple corrections, Julian.
Thank you. Good.
So you mentioned the homestead, well, it should be Olmsted, OLM
Thank you.
Instead,
Homestead, yeah,
STEAD.
as usual, I knew that, it was careless.
Is it, no, does it have an E or A in it? Homestead,
I
I
think
believe
it
so.
does.
I believe it's just
Okay.
like Homestead, only Homestead.
and
Was it metals, by the way? That was a guess. I'd forgotten exactly what the contamination.
well, there was
PFAS.
a number.
PFAS,
Oh, PFAS, okay.
But there were other things.
it's the new limits, it does not meet the requirements of the new limits set by the DEC.
Okay,
It did meet the old ones.
okay. Okay. What else, Scott?
Well, you did correct it. The date for today's meeting got corrected, so never mind.
Yeah,
Sorry about all this.
okay.
Still not.
Let me
Oh.
just see if there's anything I had a question about my own minutes. Yeah, I guess I have no other corrections either. Okay, I'll keep those in mind, but I'll bring them up next meeting for approval.
I'm just gonna ask that we change the order to, there's no public comment because there's no public other than Sean, who's gonna make his comments in the presentation. So we should just put can we put the new business before previous business? So Sean can do his presentation rather than sit here through.
Yes, that's a very sensible
business.
idea. I'll just say one thing, and that is about appointments. I actually stuck this in there after I posted it. But just that you, Luke, Scott, and Caitlin and Richard all officially have your appointments here expiring at the end of last year.
Understood.
So please renew them.
You already put my request into
You
renew.
did, okay.
Fair apply.
I think I have to be renewed as chair too, but I haven't heard a word from city council, but I'll relay that to. Hadassah was the one who alerted us that we need to watch that.
Right.
Okay. Okay, your idea is accepted by me anyway, so Sean,
All right.
we're ready.
Okay. All right.
Oh, Len has joined us.
Oh, good.
Hi, Len.
Len, good.
Okay, Len. Len is at the bottom there.
Yes, this is Sean Wilson, Len, with the presentation for composting.
Sean, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Glad to see you.
And Len, we've just agreed to reorder the agenda. Sean will give his presentation now.
I was here for that. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, so there's a lot of information here, tons and tons of information. In my former life, it was a struggle to not get too deep into the weeds here, but so the way I want to present this is I want to show you a couple slides, and then I think it's easier to pivot to a spreadsheet that I have a breakdown of a couple other components of this project. So, you know, my background is in project management, done that for years and years. So really what I'm just bringing that skill set to bear here. This is a project, and when you have a project, you have operating conditions, you have WBS structures, risk management plans, and stuff like that. So all of that stuff have to be captured, managed, and executed on. So that's why that extra spreadsheet is there for. All right, so let's see. So what I wanted to do was sort of like distill down what the compost process is in sort of a block shape. You know, when we think of compost, we think, I don't know what we think, you know, I think when we think compost, we think separating, things like that. What do you guys think when you think composting?
Yeah.
What comes to mind?
I think certainly organic waste.
Right.
And I don't know how far that extends into paper, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
But I would just add that yeah, that there is a request for legislation in front of the city council to
Gotcha.
actually have a city composting pickup.
Gotcha.
And so
Yeah, so when my family, my friends, when I talk compost, they don't typically understand exactly what it is. So what I like doing is just pulling back and just getting the nitty-gritty of it. So essentially what the compost facility I'm looking to do is an active static pile. And essentially what that is basically food stock mixed in with wood chips, a plenum, and an air supply.
yeah,
Basics.
I'll try not to interrupt you too much,
please.
but I might say this, a lot of this came out of Chris Sarasta, who's part of Sodexo at the university. And I think he wants to get the university involved in this, which would be a major contributor.
Right.
Thanks. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's a system, and the system is operating under these conditions. I think key here is moisture and precipitation. If that's not managed correctly, it can generate unfortunate byproducts like odor and leaching. Location, and I have a spreadsheet in that kind of talks about sort of ins and outs of establishing a location, but I started looking at the Brandywine corridor as the first approach. That didn't work out. I've reached out to LCP a few different times and I did not get any traction. So I'm looking at a second option. The second option is the idea. I reached out to the planning department, kind of like highlighting like this is the intended direction to get their feedback. So the basics of this area here, I mean, this is the first ward. You guys are familiar with Binghamton.
I live in the first ward.
So bring that there to show, and I'll there's some more details to that. But there are a couple different components to putting a compost facility at that spot. What I'm trying to do is get a registered note. I'm not trying to get a permit, I'm trying to get registered. And if you're trying to get a registered compost facility up and running, you're basically targeting what I'm targeting, which is like less than 10 tons per day. Higher than that requires a permit facility. When you're in the registered facility, you're really looking to the DEC says that you need to be 200 feet away from residences. Residences, churches, businesses, 200 feet. If you go to permit, that is 500 feet away, right? So I picked this spot out. It's about 2 acres. And the closest residence is about 350 feet away. So we satisfy that.
No.
So the other piece is leachate, like, you know, the compost facility will generate leachate. There's potential for odor and so on. So all of those things have to be managed with this location. So
One
yeah,
quick
go ahead.
question, sorry, can you back up just for 1 second? What was it called for the 200 feet? It's not called a permit, it's called a
So it's registered.
registered, okay.
Yes, and the DEC they stipulate the amount of waste material you can take in
Yep.
if you're registered and if you're permitted.
Okay,
Is this at the old Agfa place, you know, up there by the cemetery?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. The cemetery is to the right of this.
So it's called the Charles Street Business Park or
Exactly.
Industrial.
Exactly.
behind the old power plant.
Exactly. Yep.
To go back to that registered status, are you aware of any other places that have that status right now?
In the state of New York.
Yes. And the reason I asked the question is it's like at some point, does the regulatory framework get passed on to the municipality or the location, or does it stay with the state?
I didn't hear the line. Well-
Enforcement. I come from an enforcement background. I was the co-director. So who would end up enforcing that registration is what I'm asking you.
I see where you know, I wouldn't know. I've been looking at compost facilities online, just kind of like going to Google Maps and searching and stuff like that, just to understand what the industry have. There's a wide variety of players. Yeah, there are facilities that are all the way down in the 1 tons per day and 2 tons per day. I assume that those are registered facilities. I'm not sure. I didn't check to make sure. I did find an actual registered PDF, a compost company actually submitting their PDF with the annual data to the DEC. So this is a thing that happens, but it's not a thing that I've investigated to see how prolific it is in the state.
Okay, thank you.
Imagine the DEC would have that readily available.
Right. Let's see. So this is the location, and I put this slide together to kind of give you guys like a view of what a compost facility would be, the components. You know, sometimes it's good to put an actual picture to the thoughts, and this is what it would look like. And it's a cartoon, so things would be moved around if it's implemented in Binghamton. But what you'd have is an area to mix, an area to hold the ASB, aspirated compost and pile, an area to cure the compost, an area to bag it and sell it. Nothing too fancy, no mystery here. But do you have any questions of this?
So what size area do you
Good
need for
question.
that?
So I'm targeting 1 to 2 acre. 2 acres would be ideal. 1 acre would be the minimum that I would get. And that's driven by the feedstock the total amount of feedstock that I get from Sodexo and the restaurants in the area.
Are you talking just commercial or also for household?
That's a great question, and that's a challenge. My initial target is commercial. I've been talking with Sodexo, Chris Arasta. We're working in a pilot program where I would start getting material, adding wood chips, and
Makes sense.
going through the process. And then it can expand from there. But you know, this composting thing for me, and in some ways for Binghamton, we're kind of in this fuzzy front end where there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that got to get worked out and answered.
Mhm.
You guys on the phone have any questions on this facility?
Let's see. What street is that on the right? Just on
So this is not so this is the sort of this is the location.
Okay, it's just theoretical. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
but you're right though, it would fit sort of like in this corner here.
Uh-huh.
And this street is Nova, and this street I believe is Emerson Street. Okay.
Yeah, it's Emerson Parkway that they just named it that because Emerson.
Yes,
Which I
yeah,
don't even know if they're still there,
No,
are
they're
they?
not.
they're not,
They're
right,
not, so
right.
another,
And I think this kind of lines up really good here. There's a couple different things. One is
another one that
I
left
like-
after the tax breaks.
I like the idea because in the last election, they were talking about blue bags and people are challenged to pay for that on a weekly, monthly basis. I like the idea of providing these guys here with free drop-off service. If they're basically within walking distance of the company.
Mhm.
So these guys, as a benefit for the community, could drop off their compost for free.
Sure.
Thereby reducing the amount of blue bags they use on a regular basis and the cost of them. I think that would be good. The other cool thing about this is that I drove over here a few times. This is actually the front of the building, and this is the back of the building. And when you drive here, you basically drive up to a dock and a couple different trash bins, these large metallic trash bins. So they're back there already, and the idea is kind of already there. Having a compost facility across the way is an extension of that. So there's that. Let's see. So this is the breakdown. I think we're losing Tom there.
We'll be back.
Okay. So again, this is just the rules, the 361-3.2. This is the setback stipulations. And again, this facility would be meeting those based on the review of the GIS map. This facility would meet that. Let's see, I think this is a duplicate slide. Okay, the other one here is the floodplain issues or floodplain challenges. Let me put this over here. So this facility is in the floodplain, but it's in the 500-year floodplain, not the 100-year floodplain.
Yeah, a lot of that should have been resolved when they redid Trout Brook that runs right underneath the ground there.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a
If you
creek
could
that's
make that note,
enclosed in a
Scott.
pipe.
On the resolution of the flood zone, and you mentioned what was the
Trout Creek.
Trout Creek. Okay.
Yeah,
And that was how long ago?
They worked on that back, they resized the piping and what the pump station can take to
Okay.
feed into the river.
Okay.
I think it was after the 2011, or it might have been right before or right after 2011, but I know that has helped tremendously.
Perfect. How are we doing in time? We're like 10 minutes in?
Oh, we're interrupting you like crazy. So
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this is.
Why don't we just extend the time?
Oh, yes,
I
don't
mean,
worry.
your interruption is a sign of your interest.
Yeah, don't worry too much, Sean.
Okay, good. All right. All right, so yeah, this is key, right? So we're satisfying that. I have another slide on prevailing winds, which I don't have here, but the other thing to note about the location is the wind direction. And I'm really fortunate that wind direction is blowing away from the residences and towards the cemetery. So
Yeah,
and I feel like that is it's a sign from up above that.
Yeah, no one there,
This is
no
going
one
the
there
right
is gonna
direction.
mind.
Right. Yes. Unless you're in one of those horror movies and they start coming
Yeah,
after
that's cool,
you.
those
because, for the
firefighters.
conference. Anyway, okay, so now for I guess the warning here is that this is a little bit more sciencey and maybe a little bit more boring. But really what I was saying initially is that, and I'm new to composting too, so this is fascinating for me. When I think people start talking about composting, they start saying, hey, the magic happens here and here and here. But the reality is not, there's no magic, right? This is just it's chemistry and biology. Right. And I think when we understand that, we kind of like have a better grasp of what can and can't happen to the compost facility. All right, so there we go. This is the fun part, right? So what is a so on the right here, does this look familiar? Is anyone familiar with this setup here? I don't want to like over explain.
You're pointing at a pile of compost.
Yeah,
So, all right, yeah. Look,
Yeah.
so what you're looking at is an aspirated compost pile. On the right here are wood chips, not part of the compost, not necessarily. What they're showing you here is that this wood chip is basically underneath this pile, right?
Okay.
And these PVC pipes are to duct air into the system. So essentially what's happening in composting is that you're using feedstock, oxygen, and water, and you're utilizing the area's microorganisms to ground down the compost material. The resulting material from that, or byproduct, is water / leachate, carbon dioxide, heat, and then the compost.
Is there water added or no?
Great question. So when I say this is kind of like cell biology, molecular respiration, or cellular respiration, that's exactly what's going on. We're basically giving the microorganisms in the compost pile oxygen. And when they feed in that oxygen, they could break down the components in the feedstock. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, he asked about water.
Water, okay.
If you're adding additional water or if that's
Great,
just a
great.
byproduct.
Great. So what you don't want is more than 60% water. You do have to add water. But yeah, I kind of misheard your question. When you said water, I was thinking oxygen. And the air adds the oxygen. The water is to make sure that there's no dust forming. But really, with water, you want to keep the moisture less than 60%, so that the spaces within the pile isn't clogged up, and the microorganisms in the pile have the air, the carbon dioxide to breathe.
So it may or may not be added.
But yes,
Fair.
yes, you do. You will have, if it's
At times, summertime, if it's hot, if it's dry, you may have to feed it. Other times of year, not so much.
It's kind of it's
Other
kind of
times
like
of year,
a
you might
plant.
wanna
You have to
protect
water
it.
it and
Sure.
watch it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a living, breathing organism.
Other times you might want it covered and not getting more
Exactly.
because it's oversaturated.
Exactly. Yes. And if and there are some slides in that, but yeah, if it's oversaturated, what starts to happen is that the microorganisms start being anaerobic, they stop being aerobic and they switch to aerobic. And if they're not breaking down things aerobically, they start using they start generating halides, like butyric acid, methane,
Things you don't
ammonia.
want.
Exactly, those are
Yeah.
things you don't want.
Sure.
And that's basically, if you take wood chips, the food stock, the waste, and you pile it together, you dump it off. Over time, it will break down, right? But that's not composting. An actively managed compost facility manages the microorganisms, it manages the bacteria, it manages the food stock. On a daily basis, you're checking the temperature, you're checking the moisture. And so that's the whole process.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. that makes sense.
So the thing I want you to take away from this talk here is that under no circumstance is your compost supposed to generate odorous elements. The acetic acid, butyric acid, ammonia, it is not supposed to do that if it's managed correctly. Right? Let me go a couple more. Okay, so this is maybe a little too much here, but I think really what I want to point out here is the difference between, let me see if I have a better slide. I'll go here. Yeah, I think it might be a little bit overkill, right? So I'm just going to show this part here. So on the left side of this graph here, right, this is the whole path of the compost cycle. Starting from day 0 and ending at day 22 at the best, and then 45 as well, right? So when the pile initially gets put together, nothing is happening. The only thing that's happening is bacteria is breaking down some of the components anaerobically and some aerobically, and that's called the mesophilic process. When you add a pile of wood chips on top of the food waste, it basically locks in the microorganisms and they start working hard. They start working, they start using oxygen to break down the components. And when that happens, the compost piles start to shrink. Water starts to come out. And that's the I don't know if you hear about the heat that's generated in compost. That's when that heat is generated. So that lasts about maybe 15 to 20 days. And when that's done, and so in that thermophilic process, what you're doing is you're watching the temperature to make sure it doesn't fall off. It doesn't fall below 130. And it doesn't go beyond 160. If it goes to 160, the process gets retarded. So you want to continue to turn it to make sure the temperature doesn't get too hot. I think that's the main one. Okay, let me get to odor management really quickly here. So I think I kind of got in the soapbox and I'm like, hey, odor is not supposed to happen. And this kind of like speak to that. So I might have been a little bit ahead. Beyond that, so that's the two breakdown. So prevailing wind. So this is the other one I want to show you, showing that the wind direction is not towards the residences, it's away from it. So that's good. The other piece I think is leachate. So these are examples of other facilities. And really what I want to show you are the WBS and the spreadsheet. Now that'll expand a little bit more. But I think as far as level of detail, that's as much as I want to give you. I don't know. How are you guys feeling? What do you think? What's the feedback? Is that too much? Is that
No.
Do you feel like you understand composting a little bit better? Len, you got a look in your face. You look like you want to ask a question. What's the deal?
Very welcoming of you to allow that. We have a compost pile that we manage, 3 of them actually, just on our property, so I'm familiar with it. And the committee has been talking for a long time about encouraging something like this to happen. So siting is the key, finding the right location.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of push on the regulatory side to make this happen. And Binghamton is behind. You look at on the previous presentation I showed a map of Binghamton and the facilities in this area. And then there's this massive gap where we're trying to catch up. And this is to kind of like do some of that.
How close are you to getting this site? I mean, where are you at it? It's owned by the IDA, right?
Yes, it's owned by the IDA. I reached out to Joel Boyd and Sarah Blouse, is it?
You mean the agency?
Yeah.
Otherwise known as the agency.
The age, exactly. So how close am I to that? That's where I'm at. I identified it. I think the big thing is just giving up on the Brandywine corridor location and then mentally pivoting to this. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I've relegated that one to second position.
What was the deterrent over there? The owner?
Just no feedback. No, no, didn't seem like there's a willingness to proceed.
They couldn't see a profit.
Can you hear me?
I'm just thinking out loud.
I can hear you.
Not to be picky, but I've been looking at the zoning mapping for that property.
Mhm.
It's Binghamton Local Development Corporation, which is different than the IDA. Don't mix them up.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
You did have that earlier. Sorry.
No, I mean, I thought they were part of the IDA, but
No, it's
That makes the city,
yeah, it's
not county.
city owned.
Well, the agency is
ID
its own entity, but it's basically county.
Yeah. I mean, the I'm gonna pull this up right now. Let's go to risk.
Good point. They are two completely different entities.
It's also important because the approval process and the development process would be, I don't want to say radically different, because in some senses they're very similar, but in others it's like the actors or stakeholders that you would deal with. So you were correct to go to Joel and to the city first, because that's what they have a board of directors, et cetera. the other thing I looked at was, just for the record, you might want to make a note of this. Under the zoning law, the type of facility that you're referencing is called a waste-related service. So that's really important to use the correct terminology so that you can track the regulatory structure that you have to comply with locally. Independent of the DEC stuff, I'm talking about zoning compliance. That's
Waste related?
waste-related services. And it makes specific reference to other things, but also composting. So the third comment I had quickly was, in my experience, there's three types of major categories with composting that I think people get confused about. One is household composting, which I think most of us have had a lot of experience with over our lifetime. Then there's the municipal scale composting that you're describing, which I think is new to a lot of people, and just how it works and what it's for. And then the third, just so you know, in the past, there's been controversy about the sewage treatment plant and the disposal of their composting material. So Joe Public or Mrs. Joe Public, whatever, might have that lingering memory in their head of the controversy around that compost and disposal of it, et cetera. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me see if I have what I have in relation to that. All right, so this is the more detailed breakdown of the project. And keep the questions coming. So we have the WBS here, which is the work breakdown structure. And this makes sure that all the aspects of this system is captured. Their environmental conditions, and again, all these tabs are live documents. They're updated as we learn things, right? So I save it today and I'll rev it when there's something new that I learned. So there's a breakdown of the environmental conditions, operating plan, zoning and permitting. And this kind of shows a little bit more detail of the zoning. One of the things I noted was the plot next to it is zoned industrial. So I don't know if that makes it the chance of rezoning it or updating the zoning it to be favorable. I don't know if that makes it easier.
The bright blue area is what now? That's
Bright blue.
This doesn't seem to match
Right
up
here?
with your. Yes,
That is not, that's not it. This is,
no,
So-
I didn't think.
yeah, so this here is.
Oh, there it is.
There's a business there.
Might
And
be.
then right across
Right
is where I'm targeting. It's
Yeah,
like this
okay,
arrow's
so
kind of.
Must be the cemetery.
It was
there.
This is a cemetery.
Okay,
Correct.
got it now.
That's a cemetery, correct.
So
Tommy, you're muted.
Yeah, this is where I want to go to. I want to go to Beach because he mentioned the sewer.
I looked at the zoning. I used to be the zoning officer for the city, so I quickly looked at the list, and that waste-related services is a permitted use in the industrial area, which I believe both of those parcels are zoned as industrial classification. So that's
Actually-
good. That's favorable to.
So Tommy, I
purpose that
don't.
you're looking at.
What I'm seeing is right here, yeah. So you're saying on your end you see this is zoned for industrial. I didn't see that from the GIS
Isn't
map.
the yellow industrial? Or maybe
This
it's
is just gray. It's just empty.
It's
There's
the
nothing
gray,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, this is zoned industrial, but this is not, and this is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, the yellow.
Are you
is-
seeing that on your end, Tom?
During 2011 flood.
You can get
Use that to stockpile municipal waste.
Yeah,
Oh. Oh wow. Yes.
like I said, I'll go back and like verify all this stuff, but it can be confusing because there's the way the area is zoned, and then there's the uses. And so some of this, I'm not sure if you're referencing the use versus like the zoning classification, be like a I something is like what you would see. I don't want to jump out of my I'll do that when you're talking about something else and double check that.
Yeah.
But even if it isn't, like, it may have special status now because they made it an industrial park. So that there's also a separate category for that, but I'm sure if it's allowed in an industrial, it's probably allowed in that park.
Okay.
But it's just, all I wanted to see was like how challenging it might be. Because I was afraid it might be not allowed at all inside the city limits.
It was a
Yeah.
chemical plant.
You know, and the
I
other
know
thing
it was there, yeah.
is that I think the idea of having maybe 3 or 4 different localized registered facility makes sense, right? Because the distance to the area would be shorter. If we could be strategic about where we put the facilities, I think would make sense. I'm not a proponent of having one large system. I think it makes sense to split it up. That's my thinking.
Well, I think it depends on how advanced system you're trying to put in place, whereas if you went into industrial mode and you had a deal worked out with the city where they collected compost at a future date.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I see that, that's not the starting point or the
Right.
beginning idea, but it could be a future.
Yeah, I'm open to that. I'm open to that.
They already collect yard waste on Mondays,
Oh, right.
so they're already there. They're
I have
already-
a
they're
slide
already-
that, yes.
It doesn't really cost the city any more money to collect compost and yard waste.
Yeah,
Other than
Yeah.
maybe it's more.
that's,
trash.
you bring that up and it is part of my slide deck. And I'm hitting this slide in sort of like
I didn't mean to
haphazard
jump
way.
ahead, I'm just thinking out loud.
But I did look at that, and that was one of my thoughts. I'm just gonna say this. Blending food stock and wood yard waste, the wooded shrubby stuff, that is ideal for composting. In fact, that's what the composting is.
You got all the leaves.
Yes. Now, the interesting thing about, like, if you were to grind up like yard waste, the shrubby stuff, you just grind it up and let it sit there. Because it has no like nitrogen stuff. It's just the carbon. It will sit there for a while. It'll sit for a long time. When you add the food stuff, which is what I'm proposing you do, it will, you basically start that process there.
Yeah.
So beyond that, are other people doing this? Are other municipalities blending food waste and yard waste?
Yes.
The answer is yes. And even beyond that, this is the interesting part. So the city hired a consulting group, R.W. Beck, to sort of investigate composting and kind of look at what we do and how to optimize. It's a massive document. It's like about this big if it's printed out. In their paper, issue 9, they're basically saying they're proposing one of the means to move composting forward is by blending the yard waste with the food waste. On the surface of it, it looks like, whoa, why would you put those two things together? Yard waste go here and food waste get picked up on Tuesday, but that's a paradigm I'm hoping that we can sort of like break ourselves from. It doesn't have to be so, so that's why I kind of wanted to just give you this frame of reference of what the composting is, like what is it doing,
Yeah.
It's not this magic thing, it's not nasty, it's natural. If you think about the biochemistry involved, it's all things that happen on a regular basis, routine. It's not something off in the side.
Yeah, we're already sold on all that.
Gotcha. Maybe I'm trying to resell myself. And also, really, what I'm trying to do is actually, I'm kind of talking to the process here, right? So we're trying to do this compost facility, but there's all this interesting blockage, in getting it started. And I think that is like the rules and regulation are done so because in their mind, they think composting is throwing trash away.
They think vermin.
Exactly. They think vermin, they think awful smells, they think disgusting leachate licking out. But that's not a compost facility. The way I
No,
think about
that's
a
the
compost
landfill.
facility.
That's the landfill.
Right.
That's what's happening right now.
Right. And that's
Sorry.
why I feel like my mind, and the rules and regulations kind of locked in that way, because my sense is that if someone says, hey, let's put a compost facility here, it seems like let's do it tomorrow. But there's this, oh, what about how far is it away from? I mean, if it's done right, you're not generating the halides.
Yeah.
You know, so there's this, I don't know, there's a gap between where we need to be
It's
and where we're
change,
getting.
change.
Yes, yeah.
Another
Okay.
question, Sean, of what was the prior use for this particular piece of the site that you're looking at? I mean, it was part of a larger industrial area, Anatech or Ant.
I think, what was his name again?
Luke.
Luke. I think Luke, I'll try Luke's guy. So I think what Luke was saying is that the last use that the city had for it was during the flood. It was
Back
kind
then,
of a
the
staging
county,
area,
back
yeah.
then, the county actually owned it. I think the agency or it was the IDA then actually owned it because I had asked them for permission. I used to be the head of public works
Gotcha.
department for the city. So I had to ask them for permission because rather than taking every truck to a transfer station, we were separating our flood waste
Mhm.
along with regular municipal waste, because for FEMA, to get
Gotcha.
reimbursed, you gotta separate those things.
I see.
So we had to localize, somewhat centralized, not really centralized, but somewhat,
Gotcha.
to dump everything because we couldn't handle it at our little transfer station. And we couldn't have the trucks driving all the way to the landfill because then it's too hard to keep track of.
Was that your question though, Scott?
Stuff
What were
like,
you trying to
Well,
get
even going back further when it was Anatech, I
Yes,
mean,
yeah,
I don't know if, I mean, you obviously need to test
I believe it's brownfield,
the,
Is Brownfield?
the whole site, I would think
yeah,
so.
Is
well,
it-
maybe the
okay.
DEC's got information on what
Absolutely.
they would have
they
had.
really
fixed.
ought to.
I
I
worked
mean,
over
way
there as a
back when
pipe
it was
fitter.
a
Okay.
lot of chemical
I worked
and
there,
scope.
I worked there at the last building that they built over there, a pilot plant where they made dyes, photographic dyes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And it was all chemicals and all, very nice work because it was new. But the
Yeah.
old chemical
There's
plant,
one question I do have here.
not so pleasant.
Really
Francis.
what I want to do is I want to get started like ASAP. And again, my background is my background. I think it works, it helps. I mean,
Sure.
I've done, I didn't even talk about my background. I've designed and built a lot of stuff. My background is engineering, design engineering. So I worked, let me see. One of the coolest things I've done was a electronically cooled IGBT. So it's a complicated system, require a lot of parts, and I basically am following the same process that I've used to develop other things, more complicated systems. And part of that, I think what I was saying is in developing systems, new ideas, the key piece is prototyping. You know, prototyping well make a lot of dumb engineers look very smart. And how to prototype. The way I see prototype, you want to do that quickly. This area here, it doesn't satisfy the criteria for registered facility. However, if you are using, and you're doing it in a short-term basis, you're not using a lot of material, this would be a perfect pilot location. Who do I talk to make it a pilot location? How do I get that started?
So I want to speak to that for a
To
second.
have that conversation unrecorded.
Oh, really? Oh,
That's political.
oh,
While you were talking, I looked up the zoning again. And it's zoned, the zoning classification, it's an I-1, which is an urban industrial park. It is also a brownfield, I looked that up. A waste related services is not a approved use for that area, for that classification, which right away says you would have to get a variance from the zoning law in order to put that type of facility there. The other thing that I would caution, before you put too much energy into the site, is a variance is a big barrier. It can be done, but that's a whole nother layer of hoops you got to jump through. And then because it's a brownfield and also because it got a substantial amount of money to be developed as a business park, there may be deed restrictions or other associated regulations that encourage a particular type of development in that area. So again, not to say that I know this, I'm just putting this out now. It's like if you were going in front of the planning commission or the zoning board of appeals, either for a variance or for approval for this project, the first question they're going to say is, we put all this money in to build like light industrial and other uses there. We don't want to use this with like, convince me that it's a good idea, because you're not going to hire a lot of people and you're not going to make a lot of money for our tax base, and you're going to take up a whole lot of room. Those are the kind of questions people will ask, whether they're legitimate or not. But they're flags. I'm just seeing flags, boom, boom, boom. So all your other presentation stuff makes a lot of sense to me, but I don't know if I would spend a lot of time like trying to get this site. It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense.
I mean, there isn't a place that is easy to find. The easiest place that worked was the Brandywine corridor. That was the primary spot. It kind of met all the criteria, perhaps no red flags and so forth. The next best area is this guy here. So let me, one argument I might have here, Tommy, is, so if you look at what a compost facility is, let's see here, let's go back here. Right here. So I'm not necessarily building any structure, right? I'm not putting a building, and this is you and I talking, and we're basically just brainstorming for this next round of acquisition. So we're not building any facility. I know it says office here, but we don't need an office, right? It's really just bare land and material. I showed what the ASP system looked like, this guy here underneath. So all of this stuff is movable, right? So my argument, hold on. Yep. My argument is that you're not using the site for anything right now. To start using the site for a composting facility will go pretty quickly. It satisfies all these criteria the DC set for composting. And if, rules and regulators, if you have a new business coming in and they're in Binghamton, City of Binghamton, they're coming into Binghamton and they they scoured the whole of Binghamton and they didn't find anywhere else, which would be shocking, right? But they scoured every place out. They didn't find anything. They got to use this facility. This compost facility can pick up and leave quickly, right? It's small, it's nimble. You'd use a tractor, maybe a grinder, but you're not really putting things down.
Well, you need a few sheds at least.
I don't even need that, right? I could use a tarp to cover, right? To cover the incoming material, to cover the ASP cotton piles. But I mean, I think
they could also be deconstructed. You could get ones that can be constructed, deconstructed very easily.
Again,
that answered my question, because I said,
gotcha.
When you talk pilot, usually you talk temporary. A lot of times,
exactly.
Smaller scale.
Right.
Now it's a proven. Now, in the meantime, you're looking at permanent facility, larger.
And really, the idea here is to break paradigms. Break the paradigm of a compost facility.
There's
being this sort of like icky thing.
There's another location not that far from there that the city used to own. They might still own, up on LaGrange.
LaGrange, okay.
Where used to dump the millings.
Isn't that on a hillside?
Tommy,
It is on a
I think it's
hillside.
called.
Yeah, rather steep ones.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah,
go
but-
ahead, man.
You go off. The Millings, there's old vaults of old wells that used to be there, or old holding tanks, partially there. That could probably be reused instead of the city putting their millings from the streets there. It's a possible, just,
Yeah, it's an ongoing conversation. I'm
Yeah,
happy to have.
LaGrange is right just above this, basically.
The other side of the
Yeah.
highway.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I'm gonna add
So not to belabor the point now.
it. No, this is Tommy. This is good. This is a good.
We can do it offline, but your discussion and argument about it being temporary or movable or all those things, as much sense as it makes, as easy as it is for us to understand.
Yeah.
It's as someone that's talked to people with great development ideas, the hardest thing that I found was communicating to them the process and like how you got to go through the process. Everybody has to go through the process. Some people have political connections, some people have social connections. Sometimes there's compelling reasons, like a lot of rules got bent during the flood, things like that. But everybody has to go through the process one way or the other. And what I'm seeing here is that like I could, like I said, I'll talk to you offline so that you can get kind of a map of the process and understand why is, for example, the argument you just made, while it makes perfect sense from one perspective, from a other process-based perspective, it won't fly. It just can't fly because the law is the law is the law.
Exactly. And that's why I asked that question. That's the kind of
Yeah.
feedback I wanted to
So,
hear.
but the question I would back up is like, let's not get hung up on a location, although I know how important that is to you, and just go like, what are the sites you've looked at and what are the sites you haven't? And that's where the economic development for the city and the IDA for the county, they're supposed to be able to sit down with you at the table and say, here, I can show you 24 sites. Let's go through them one after another. And like, I can do all the legwork for you in terms of telling you what could be legally supported by your project. But I know that like I
what
just
city
don't
is
want to
that
see
in?
you get burned out on the process questions.
No,
Okay.
I'm asking Tom
Oh.
facetiously. What city are you talking
What do you-
about, Tom?
He's like, bro, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. I get it.
All right,
Well, the city as we imagine it, let alone the city as it is. But
No, this is really productive. This is really productive, man. Because I just say I did the high level presentation a while back, and it all, high level presentations, everything makes sense, everything work out.
Yeah,
And now we are sort of like taking a step further and we're going into the details, and this is when you're gonna get the bumps and the corrections and the updates and stuff like that. So
yeah, good.
so really, really good. This is really good. I appreciate that.
John, I wanted to say something if you
Yeah.
don't mind. This
Yeah,
is
please.
deviating a little bit. My background's more in public health, and you're talking about like no permanent structures that wouldn't be needed. And I saw some of the fine print on something else about jobs creation, and surely that's going to be a question that they're going to be asking you, like how much is this creating and whatnot. But like for example, I'm not sure again, and zoning, I don't know, that's Tom and Luke there, that's them, but like no access to a bathroom. And I know for like female employees, you have to have like a non-bathroom location for breastfeeding women, like all those kinds of considerations, because like if you don't have those certain elements, you would be discluding potential female workers, and that could be a big issue too. So just looking at it more from like an OSHA labor law perspective, there might be some things there. And again, that's kind of taking a step back from like the direct project, but thinking about like temporary and permanent structures. That might be set, like I'm not a labor lawyer, but that also might be something that has to be considered, because you could be discriminating against certain types of workers without certain structures in place.
Okay, yeah,
That could be in a
we're gonna
trailer.
Add that somewhere.
that could all be in a trailer.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, let me add that.
yeah, it's an infinite recession though, Luke, because it's like there may be a regulation that says you can't put the trailer on there on a permanent basis. It's not a permanent structure. It doesn't comply with the building code. I'm just telling you that there's so many regulations when people come in with a good idea.
Absolutely.
Without a lot of support and guidance, it can be maddening and can discourage the crap out of you like so fast. Because it's like, what is it?
This is, I mean, the one, my background again. So a past engineer, I hope I don't have to go. But I might, bro. I'm running out of money. No, but so as engineer, so a lot of times new technology come in and you have to retrofit old technology with new technology. And a lot of times when you go to redesign something old, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can go wrong, right? And to make sure you redesign it properly and you also keep the initial structure in place and it met the same criteria, it does require effort, just constant, meetings and adjustments and updates and disagreements, and it's a slow, methodical process. So it just, I want to say it makes sense that all this stuff gets surfaced now, that way we could handle it. But what was that? This without structure, right? To hit this spelling might be discriminating.
Those are all solvable problems, pretty simple. Somehow they build clean rooms.
Against what? Breastfeeding women?
Sure.
That was just something that, like, when we're talking about permanent structures, because, like, yeah, even the trailers, kind of like what Tom said, like, that might change, you might need that. And because there's also like certain regulations you have to do, like it has to lock, it can't be a bathroom, it has to be so far away, it has to be private, like, there's just other things to consider, and that might just start getting more complex. It's, and again, I don't know, it could be easily solvable, but just when you're talking about like a temporary movable place, that piqued in my mind of something, again, just to look into, so you don't get to that point, or wait time and then you see that hurdle.
Yep, absolutely. And then the other thing too is really what I think will happen most times is that there are the must-haves, right? Must-haves, which is, I want to pivot back to this. This is the whole global warming thing, composting is part, all of that stuff. There's that. And then there's all these additional rules and regulation that have to happen. And so it's just a matter of managing those things. Some things get higher priority, some things lower priority. But it means that it's on some kind of like list of things that are being worked, and we have visibility to it. So this does that. So I appreciate that.
Can I take the conversation in a different direction for a second? Like,
yes, please.
Again, I'm kind of putting on my planning commissioner hat. I'm a small business person, and I'm going to say to you, where's the demonstrated need for this service other than the mile high environmental benefits, which I think we all appreciate without discussion. But it's like, if this is a good idea, why isn't somebody doing it in the private sector now? And if it can't be profitable, then is the city taking on a whole new burden around waste disposal or waste procurement that is going to cost us money? And what's the incentive? What do we get for it other than, the general broad goals? But how does it help the city of Binghamton solve the problem?
What's your background, your business background?
My business background?
Yeah.
I'm an engineer. I work for Shoemaker Consulting Engineering, and I do public works all the time. I'm a DOT engineer.
Right.
So I want you to tell me what need is it meeting that's not being met right now?
Yeah.
I do think Sean is a private investor, so I think that's what he's working toward.
No, let me what need? I don't know. I mean, that's not a question I'm going to take too seriously. I mean, this is driven by regulation. Unless you want to deviate from the regulation that's on the books, that's fine. But typically, these types of regulations have to get enforced. And so, do I have to go and drum up business like I would if this was like a sort of like a for-profit enterprise. No, this is not that. So, you know, demonstrated need. I mean, this is there are regulatory pushes in this direction that are very, very substantial. I think if that was absent, then I would start going and looking around and seeing kind of justify the need. Like, do we need to compost? And then maybe the answer might be no, because no one. Well, you could say like, hey, climate change is not a thing. Managing resources is not a thing. These are debatable things, but I think maybe what I would say is that you know, do you need to do composting like you need a new cell phone? Because you know, people buy cell phones all the time, and apparently there's a demonstrated need for cell phones. So is it on that plane? I don't believe so. I don't think so.
We did bring up New
So-
York City when we talked to you the other time, and now composting is in place there, but people aren't using it.
Yeah.
So that raises the same question.
Well, that's the thing, you know, it's like you guys have to remember this is the start of something. We're not 10 years in, we're at the beginning of something, and people are being introduced to this idea. Like I said, I was talking to my sister over the break, and she's like, what do you do? You know, it's like, how do you do it? I was in New Jersey, I was buying flowers for this person. And I was talking to two ladies there, and one lady was like, I compost all the time. And the other one, she's like, what do you do? How do you? And I said, hey, you just put the food scraps and then the saprops and the fungi does its thing, and her face lit up, you know. So this is the very beginning of something. This is not a consumer product. Like you would buy like a car or tires or something like this. This is very different.
So then I think one of the things, because in our committee, there was an argument being made by at least one person that reducing the waste stream by composting was advantageous to the city, you know, and with all the understanding that this is a pilot and it's just beginning. But let's say a mature composting, municipal level composting would reduce the waste stream to the landfill, and that would be good for everybody. But if it's a private sector thing where you're saying, I'm not asking for any municipal support here, then the argumentation becomes different. I can appreciate that, you know, but I think it needs to be clear to people, because they're going to be like, what are you proposing here? Because right now, all of our sanitation is a municipal service or a completely private service. There's no like hybrids, I don't think.
Right. Very good point. Very good point. Yes. And the reason why I push back a little bit on that, because yes, there's a paradigm that you follow when you're trying to maximize your profit for a commercial
Venture of some sort.
residential item. And I've done that. That's most of my career was just optimizing performance, reducing costs, meeting voice of customer, understanding market needs, developing a product that will meet a target segment of the market, and outperforming competitors and so on. This is very much different. To your point, Tommy, there's a whole list of stuff, and one of them is actually and the R.W. Beck paper identified this, and it's the value of extending the landfill is one key benefit.
Extending the life of it. Yeah.
The life of the landfill, because you're putting less stuff on. Less stuff in it. Yeah. Good, man.
Okay. I think we should probably wrap up. Sean.
Okay, right.
But this has been a very interesting discussion.
Yeah, this is
great contribution.
It's good. I appreciate all your you guys are good. I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
I think we should start a committee to work with Sean and composting where we might be of assistance.
Okay, yeah.
Cool with that.
That's a
I want to leave you with this this risk sheet. As the project unfolds, what I want to do is continue to identify potential risks typically when you're managing a project, the risk goes from, death, health. As the key ones, there's no
Yeah.
death stuff, but there's the health stuff. And I think walking through the slides that demonstrate how a compost facility, I won't even say well-managed compost facility, a compost facility, how it impacts your health, your potential health. I think that's the key piece I wanted to kind of like, it is possible, okay, maybe even beneficial to communities to have a compost facility in the neighborhood. It doesn't have to be off in a landfill. So
Yeah, all
there's
those
that,
are good considerations.
yeah.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
well, thank you. And sort of more power to you too, because you're facing quite an organizational thing here. I mean, all these regulations, which Tommy's been talking about, and practical concerns, and some of the things Len was talking about. So I would say, keep going. And
Yeah.
if we can, Luke, you said a committee? Sure.
Yeah, I think
We
if
seem
we
to
have
have a bunch
committee-
of dormant committees.
because it's like, I know several people from the DEC. A lot of them are retired now, but they have connections to and can at least help steer you in that direction. It's so much easier if you have direct contacts that you get reliable information from directly instead of circular conversations,
Okay.
just to the point blank questions and answers.
Sounds like you're just about ready to start this committee.
I think I am.
All right. Like it.
Good
I'd love to work with you.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, good. I would hope Richard would want to join in. He's been a big proponent. He's not here today, but I would hope he would want to join in. And
I'd also volunteer.
good, Len. Thank you.
So have you been in touch with Vines?
Yes. Yes.
So Amelia is a good,
So Amelia and we had I wanted to do a movie thing at Vines, and she's like, nah, man. So that's our only relationship.
oh.
But I've worked with Josh a lot though.
Uh-huh.
Josh and Jamie.
Mhm.
Josh Emberly and Jamie. We could be texting.
Yeah, Josh is interested, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was just gonna say, I mean, she was right to stop the movie thing. It didn't fit with mine, so not saying that.
Yeah,
That's my
Okay.
because they started compost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we'll continue with our business. Please stay a
Yes.
bit if you like. This is an open meeting. I notice we do have a quorum. We've got 5 of us here.
Okay.
And but let me, I guess I would just like to entertain Luke's idea. Why don't you make a motion, Luke?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we start a committee to work on composting, possible future composting facility with Sean Wilson.
And then Luca is volunteer.
Also,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to be part.
Okay. Tommy suddenly evaporated, but
There he is. He's back again.
hey, there he is back. So, Len and Tommy, we have a motion to form a committee on composting. And we need a second.
Second.
Thank you. That's Len. And any further discussion about the committee idea? Okay, the motion is up. How do we vote?
Aye.
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 I,
I hear 5 ayes. And that's a quorum.
Is there 6 ayes or anyone against? No, then I'll count it as 6.
Is Laura still there?
Why 6?
Laura's still there.
Oh, she's.
Laura's out there, right?
Somewhere.
Laura? Maybe she's
No,
not
she
there.
dropped off at 3.
Oh, Laura did.
And
Oh,
I'm
good.
here now. I came in.
Sorry, I wasn't even aware Laura was there.
Wait, who else?
Nikita,
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you voting in favor?
Yes.
Then it's 6.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Laptop is about to
Yeah.
die,
Can you give us your email address or contact information?
right? It's very easy. It's Sean, SHAWN at Rasta Combos.
Okay,
RASTA.
I know how to spell
Good, Luke.
it.
I am going to close down my computer because battery's gonna die.
Yeah, sure.
With
Big
that,
Bob Marley
mess up
fan.
your.
Okay, look, we could look at the minutes now, just since we have a quorum, let's do it. Are there any, I'll just remember, Sean,
Make sure you stop your screen.
how's that?
Sean, just if you can stop sharing your screen, probably want to do that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good.
Just a recorded video.
Caitlin's here,
There's
so-
all you other people.
Oh,
Good. Caitlin, is that you, Vaughn?
Yes,
On
it
the
is.
upper right? Or is that's Laura, okay.
Caitlin, we didn't get your vote. Were you on for that last vote?
Yes.
Committee, and your vote aye?
Yes.
Okay,
That is right.
now we're at 7.
Okay, okay, does anybody else have any corrections on the minutes that they know of? Okay, I'm going to, so we have a motion, we don't need a motion, actually. We just need a vote on the minutes. We need a vote on the minutes as corrected, mainly by, yeah,
By Scott.
by Scott.
The only correction was changing homestead to Olmsted
Yes.
for the well. Okay,
For the
I
state
vote to
water
approve.
supply.
All in favor?
Okay. I can. Yeah. You in favor, Caitlin and Nikita? I can't see.
It was not present.
Good, okay.
All right, 7-0.
No, I said I would abstain because I was not present.
Oh, I'm sorry.
6-1.
Right,
6-0, 1 abstention.
good, that makes sense. Okay, it is 3:05. I think we should adjourn, actually. Unless there is anything else that anyone wants to bring up. I did have the plaza development on the agenda, but frankly, that can easily wait another month. It's been waiting for 10 years already,
At
so.
least.
Any objection to that?
No,
Just one note on that. I need to put out some better references to DEC documents that are available.
Thank
My something went wrong with what I put out there with the link, so I will correct that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll need to make-
Okay, do I have a motion for adjournment?
motion.
Okay,
I can second.
so do we have a vote on adjournment?
Aye.
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 Okay, see you all. And frankly, I think we had a
seconded?
very interesting discussion this
nice.
week.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Nikita, you
for coming.
seconded?
Say it again?
You seconded?
No, I think it was who was this seconded? Krista
Caitlin, wasn't it?
or Caitlin, sorry, Caitlin.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was either Caitlin or I think it was Caitlin that second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good night. And thank you again for coming. That was very informative.
Awesome. Thank you for having us, having me.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
Just another observation
Yeah,
is
man.
Binghamton University, I mean, you have a willing and
Yes.
potential
Oh, they're ready to go.
customer, so.
In fact, I left Binghamton. I was at Binghamton not too long ago talking to Chris. And we were talking about pilot program because he's ready to start like ASAP. So.
And is there any possibility for them having a spot on their property? I mean, they have something called Binghamton Acres, which is a garden.
Yes.
It's stuck back up a ways.
Oh, yes, no, I know all that property.
But I
Yeah,
don't think
there would.
Sodexo has any way to procure some of the property, but
Yeah.
they
It
must.
seems like Binghamton, that whole area is just very, very expensive. You know, like all the square, I used to play tennis over there. And they tore down the tennis court and they built a whole brand new facility right on that.
Yeah.
It just seems like the areas there, it just seems like all spoken for, you know, it's just.
Oh, the university owns about 600 acres up the back.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Well, that includes the campus itself, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, they really own a lot.
To get to this, you have to drive up Bun Hill Road a ways.
Well, that,
Oh.
Yeah.
It's outside the city of Binghamton.
Oh.
But yeah, it's out.
That's
of course.
I like
Right.
your idea of working on the city first, because that's
Yeah,
a central place.
Yeah, I keep, in my mind, keep thinking, this is kind of like a farm. You know, this is what it's gonna generate, it's all natural stuff.
Mhm.
You know, there's not a landfill that's plastics and paper and a variety of different things. This is not that. This is all organic material that's part of the earth.
Yeah,
Why would you segregate it all the way out to wherever? You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
oh, sure.
It makes no sense.
I'm gonna just tell Sam that we've wrapped up. So that she can,
One thing I'll get with Tom, because he's much better on the GIS and the county site and all that. than I am. Figured it out. But my experience with public works and managing the garbage and all that stuff and the collection and see, like the Grange is over here. I'll just show you on this map.
Yeah.
There's just, I mean, I have no idea. I'm just talking out.
You know, the question I got then is like when so we have the community, like when would we start meeting and stuff like that? Or do we have we set up like meeting times and?
My way of doing committees is to just kind of do stuff somewhat independently.
Gotcha.
And have meetings.
Would you do like a quick email
I
or?
mean, yeah, we can do that. They've made so many rules
Oh,
about
got
this
it.
open government and stuff. To me,
Gotcha.
it makes it difficult for me to
Interesting.
operate.
Got it. Okay.
I just like to do my
Got
homework and legwork.
I should give you my number so you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. I mean, I can do this stuff. It doesn't have to be part of the committee. I'm just
Gotcha,
doing
yeah.
it as a
Yeah,
citizen.
I dig it, yeah.
Everything I do is not like
Yeah.
on this commission. Right. Or if I need to, I'll just drop off.
It worked out pretty good. Thank you.
But anyway, this, with range up here, might see this